Hello students, welcome to the class. Today we will discuss about the second part of gametogenesis, that is oogenesis. Just in the previous class we have discussed about spermatogenesis, that is the process of development of sperms, and oogenesis is the process of origin and development of the female gametes, that is ova. One particular thing is there that in case of females, this process of oogenesis, it is started in the embryonic developmental stage only. In the embryonic developmental stage only, when the female is there in the fetal stage, there occurs oogenesis inside the mother's womb. So how it occurs and where the oogenesis it is blocked, means it is stopped there at a particular time. Okay, and later on this oogenesis again begins after getting the sexual maturity or puberty. So what happens there? See, in the female fetus, in case of embryonic development, oogenesis occurs. There occurs the mitotic division of the germ cells. Primary germ cells occur, resulting into many primary the oogonias. Okay, the oogonia are the ovum mother cells. Then the oogonia, they also enlarge in size, accumulating the nutritive materials, and they form the primary oocytes. These primary oocytes, they also enter the meiosis 1. But in the prophase 1 stage of meiosis 1, these primary oocytes, these are arrested. And later on, after attaining puberty, these primary oocytes, these are surrounded by the granulosa cells forming the primary follicles. And what the primary follicle number, it is also fixed in case of females. And no more oogonia are added after birth. All these are the peculiar things which happen in case of females only. And the oogenesis is somehow so different from the spermatogenesis basing upon this factor. Okay, so see what is there. Oogenesis is very typical because in case of spermatogenesis and oogenesis, as we know, meiosis is there. Meiosis is the reductional cell division, so that a diploid gamete mother cell will produce 4 haploid gametes. But here what happens, after the completion of meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, complete maturation division, only a particular functional ovum is produced from the primary oocyte. Only one haploid ovum is produced in case of human females. So how it is regularized, and all these things let's discuss. See here, gametogenesis, oogenesis. Just as I have told you, just no more oogonia are added after birth, because during the fetal development, during the embryonic development of the fetus only, the oogonia are developed. Means the primary germ cells, they undergo multiplication stage to form large number of oogonia, the ovum mother cells. And these oogonia, they are also they also enter into the growth phase, and they become the primary oocytes. Okay, so what is there? The primary oocytes are formed, which are arrested in the prophase 1 of meiosis 1. Just we have discussed that at the primary oocyte stage, when the primary oocyte it enters into maturation division in the first meiosis 1 only, these primary oocytes, these are arrested in the prophase 1 phase of meiosis 1. Okay, so come to the stage how the oogenesis occur. See, primary germ cells are present inside the ovary. These are the diploid gamete mother cells. These primary germ cells, they undergo multiplication phase. There are 3 phases in the oogenesis process: multiplication, growth phase, and maturation phase. In the multiplication phase, what happens? The primary germ cells, they undergo complete mitosis, just the equational cell division, producing large number of diploid cells. These diploid cells are called oogonia. So this is mitosis. Then growth phase occurs, means the oogonium, a single oogonium I have shown here, the oogonium accumulates nutritive material. There occurs enlargement in the size of nucleus and size of the cell. How the nucleus is enlarged? The nucleus sap or the nucleoplasm is accumulated. So this enlarged nucleus of the primary oocyte, it is called germinal vesicle, and the cytoplasm content and the cell organelle content of the primary oocyte is also much more than the oogonium. Okay, so these primary oocyte, it is the enlarged form of oogonium. So after the growth phase is completed, a single oogonium, it turns into primary oocyte. Then this primary oocyte, it undergoes maturation phase. In the maturation phase, what happens? First, meiosis 1 occurs. This primary oocyte is a diploid cell, as I have told you. Then this diploid cell, it undergoes meiosis 1. Meiosis 1 is the reductional cell division, so that it results into formation of a secondary oocyte, which is the larger cell, and a small cell called first polar body. So here in this meiosis, two unequal daughter cells are produced from the primary oocyte. One larger cell is the secondary oocyte, having much more amount of cytoplasm in the nucleus, and the smaller cell is called first polar body without any cytoplasm. What happens? This secondary oocyte, mostly it undergoes meiosis II, and the first polar body degenerates in case of vertebrates. But in case of lower invertebrates, what happens? This first polar body also enters into meiosis II, and this first polar body, after completion of meiosis II, it produces two small polar bodies which also degenerate. Okay, so what happens during the meiosis II? The secondary oocyte, it divides into again to produce two unequal daughter cells. The largest cell having the nucleus is the ovum, and a very small cell without cytoplasm called second polar body. So if in case of invertebrates, what happens? The first polar body and the secondary oocyte both undergo meiosis II. So three second polar bodies. These two are second polar bodies, and this is another second polar body. These three second polar bodies, they are produced and they degenerate. When meiosis II is completed, they are degenerated. But in case of higher vertebrates, only the secondary oocyte undergoes meiosis II to produce the ovum and the smaller cell called second polar body. Okay, so again I am telling you, this primary oocyte, when it completes the meiosis I, it produces two unequal daughter cells. The larger cell is secondary oocyte and the smaller one is first polar body. Then in the meiosis II, in case of invertebrates, what happens? Meiosis II is there in both the cases of secondary oocyte and first polar body. And the secondary oocyte, it produces again the two unequal sized cells. Larger cell is ovum and the smaller cell is second polar body. Here also the first polar body undergoes meiosis II in case of invertebrates, producing the two small second polar bodies. These three second polar bodies, they degenerate and only the ovum persists. But in case of vertebrates, what happens? The first polar body only degenerates. It doesn't undergo meiosis II. Is it clear now? Another thing I have to tell you, that in case of human beings, mostly what happens? The secondary oocyte itself, it is released into oviduct from the ovary. Means the secondary oocyte is released during ovulation, and the secondary oocyte along with the first polar body, it is released into oviduct. And what happens? The secondary oocyte waits in the oviduct, and when the sperm reaches near the secondary oocyte, then it starts the second meiosis, means meiosis II. Neither the secondary oocyte only degenerates. We know that the ovum or the secondary oocyte, it remains fertile for 2 to 3 days only inside the female reproductive tract in the oviduct. So what happens? The secondary oocyte, it completes meiosis II when when it sees the sperms nearby. Okay, so this second meiosis or meiosis II occurs, and it results into the larger cell ovum, which is fertilized by the sperm. Okay, so this is all about the process of oogenesis after the maturation division. So in case of vertebrates and in case of invertebrates also, what happens? A single oogonium, it enlarges to form the primary oocyte, and after completion of maturation division, both meiosis I and meiosis II, a single fertile ovum is resulted. A single haploid cell is produced in case of human beings, human females. Okay, so this is the oogenesis process, and this is the diagram of oogenesis. Again I am repeating, primary germ cell undergoes mitosis, that is the multiplication phase, then occurs growth phase and results into primary oocyte. The nucleus is called germinal vesicle, and the primary oocyte, after completion of total maturation phase, it results into a fertile single haploid ovum. This is the female gamete. Okay, so all these process up to this it occurs before birth, up to formation of primary oocyte, and in the prophase 1 of meiosis I, the primary oocyte is arrested in the female fetus. Okay, and later and after attaining sexual maturity or puberty, again this process starts, that the primary oocyte, it is surrounded by many granulosous cells forming the primary follicle. Then this primary follicle, it is surrounded by more granulosous cells forming the secondary follicle, and the secondary follicle means ball of cells. Okay, secondary follicle, it matures to form the Graafian follicle, where the primary oocyte, it is surrounded by many granulosous cells, and there is a fluid filled cavity called antrum. This antrum, it is a nutritive fluid which supplies nutrition, and it supplies nutrition throughout the maturation division to form the ovum. Okay, because ovum, in case of what, in case of Pisces, in case of reptiles, in case of birds, this ovum, it contains yolk. The yolk content of ovum is much more, but in case of mammals, as we are viviparous, so yolk content is very less. So the nutrition, it is attained by the ovum from the antrum, the fluid filled cavity. Okay, so this is all about oogenesis. We have discussed in case of vertebrates, lower invertebrates, in case of different types of vertebrates also. And let's come to the hormonal control of oogenesis now. What happens? As I have told you, all the procedures, all the metabolic pathways, everything which occurs inside our body, these are under the control of different types of chemicals of our body, maybe enzymes, maybe hormones, and all these processes, they are controlled by hormones. Okay, so come to the hormonal control of oogenesis. Hypothalamus is the brain gland. This hypothalamus, it controls the pituitary. Pituitary has three portions divided: adenohypophysis, then the pars media, middle pituitary, then the posterior hypophysis. Okay, adenohypophysis is the anterior part of pituitary. Hypothalamus produces the hormone GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. This hormone's target site is adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary. Its target site is anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary is also known as what? Adenohypophysis. This adenohypophysis, by the stimulation of GnRH, produces the gonadotropins. This is gonadotropin releasing hormone. It produces the gonadotropins. Gonadotropins are of two types, FSH and LH. FSH is the follicle stimulating hormone and LH is the luteinizing hormone. FSH, it acts on the ovarian follicles, the primary follicles which are present inside the ovary. So FSH acts on the ovarian follicles, and these ovarian follicles, they produce the hormone estrogens. These estrogens, they influence oogenesis, means FSH indirectly it stimulates oogenesis, and the estrogen hormones are produced by the ovarian follicle itself. And these estrogen hormones, they trigger the ovarian follicles to be mature, to form the Graafian follicles, and inside that there occurs maturation phase, so that ovum is produced. Then come to the LH. LH is the luteinizing hormone. It causes LH surge. LH surge is nothing but the ovulation. What happens in the previous class when we are discussing about what? Female reproductive system. We have also discussed about the TSF ovary there, and I have told you that inside the ovary, the Graafian follicles, they contain the secondary oocyte, and secondary oocyte, it is released from the ovary into oviduct, and this process is called LH surge or ovulation, which is caused by the luteinizing hormone. And due to ovulation, rest of the follicular cells which are there, which remain inside the ovary after ovulation, they form corpus luteum. So LH hormone, this luteinizing hormone, it causes LH surge or ovulation and formation of corpus luteum. Corpus luteum is a glandular mass. This yellow glandular corpus luteum, it secretes the hormone progesterone. These progesterones, they thicken the uterine endometrium. Uterus has three linings. The innermost lining is endometrium, the middle is myometrium, and outside layer is perimetrium. And whenever fertilization occurs, the embryo, it attaches to the innermost lining, that is endometrium. So endometrium lining should be thickened to bear the weight of the embryo during the growth. Okay. So what happens? This progesterone hormone produced from the corpus luteum, it thickens the uterine endometrium and maintains the pregnancy. If pregnancy occurs, then this pregnancy should be maintained by holding the embryo inside, and the embryonic weight, it is maintained by the uterine endometrium layer thickening. This thickening is done by the progesterone, because if fertilization occurs, then corpus luteum remains throughout pregnancy, and continuously it will supply more and more amount of progesterone hormones, so that the uterine endometrium will thick gradually month-wise, and it can hold the embryo inside the what? Uterus. Okay. So it thickens the uterine endometrium and maintains pregnancy, this hormone. Okay. But if the embryo is not fertilized, then the uterine endometrium, it is released in the menstruation. Okay. So this is all about oogenesis. In the 3 phases it is completed. Multiplication phase, thus the number of the cells, diploid cells, they are increased, and these cells are called oogonia. Then in the growth phase, this oogonium, it enlarges in size, accumulates more and more amount of cytoplasm. Nuclear sap, it is also added, and nucleus is enlarged. This enlarged nucleus is called germinal vesicle. Then it undergoes meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, producing a single fertile large cell, that is ovum, which is either fertilized or released out each month. Okay, so this is all about oogenesis, just we have discussed. So thank you for watching, and subscribe and share my channel for upcoming videos. Thank you.